Veronique, can you tell us what it was like when you were, diagnosed with MS, and what kind of effect it had on you?
Well, I was diagnosed with MS when I was 34. That was 14 years ago. And I could see it coming because I had symptoms for the last few months or even a year before. So I knew it would come, but still it was a shock, because then you start thinking, oh God, that's the end. What am I going to do? I had just started a PhD, and I thought, how am I going to be able to finish it? And I was living in Ireland, in Dublin, so I had all these questions and not knowing what to do, whether to do a treatment or not. So it was quite a challenging time, but that's a long time ago.
And how soon after you were diagnosed did you start practicing yoga, and what was that like? When?
Actually, I started yoga just a little bit before being diagnosed, because I knew I was going to be diagnosed, and I thought probably that's a good thing to do. At the time, I was really big into aerobics and step aerobics and spinning. I spent a lot of hours at the gym every week, but I knew that it wasn't the best for me, so I thought I should try yoga, although I probably won't like it. But then I was really surprised, because I went to Ashtanga and Iyengar classes, and I loved it. I just loved it.
And when did you decide to become a teacher? When did you decide you wanted to be a yoga teacher?
First, when I was diagnosed, I went on a treatment, like interferon treatment, for 3 years, and it was really, really tough. It was horrible. I was like a zombie, and I was still working. I was working on my PhD, and I was, I was trying to survive, basically. It was so hard. And then one day I decided, that's it. I stop. I'm not going to go on with this treatment, but then I will change my life. I'm going to stop smoking, because I was smoking. I'm going to do loads of yoga. I'm going to eat well. So I basically signed a contract with myself, and agreeing that if one day I failed to keep doing that, I would have to go back on the treatment. And I was so scared. I'm still so scared of it, that I keep doing the yoga and I keep the diet, and I don't smoke. And after a while, I noticed that yoga was so good for me that I wanted to become a teacher, and I wanted to share that.
When did you start developing the sequences and the poses specifically for MS, and how do they work? How are they different from normal yoga sequences or poses?
Well, as I was practicing yoga, I noticed obviously the poses that that were easier for me, the poses that made me feel better when I was fatigued, or the ones that helped to improve my balance, the ones that helped me feel more confident. So little by little, I actually managed to work on my little own toolbox, and I started using poses when I was tired. Oh, I should do this. Or if I wanted to work on my flexibility or on my strength, oh, I should do this and that. And naturally, some sequences developed. And then when I was training as in yoga therapy, I researched as well, and I learned about different approaches in Ayurveda, in yoga therapy, in integral therapy, and also from people like Eric Small in Iyengar yoga. So I kind of brought everything together, and I noticed actually what I had noticed by myself with my own experience is what I could find in the research, what other people said worked as well. And I started to work on sequences for each symptoms based on my own experience, and as well on the the literature and what I learned in yoga therapy.
And now you've launched Taming the Walrus, and can you give us, because that's not only yoga, and can you give us some idea of what Taming the Walrus is and why you've included information on Taming the Walrus about diet and mindfulness, meditation, and other things?
I went once to a really great dietitian in Dublin, and one thing he told me was he advised me on the diet, and then he said it doesn't matter whether you follow the diet or not. If you don't do some exercise, it won't work. It has to be holistic. You have to change your lifestyle to really reap the maximum benefits of yoga. And actually yoga therapy is holistic. It's not just the asanas, the breathing, the movement, it's also the way you live. It's the food you eat is crucial because you are what you eat. And I'm sure you've noticed, I mean, if you eat something that is not good for you, you don't feel well, you feel heavy, you don't have energy. And for people with MS, having energy is crucial. So we have to be very careful that what we eat doesn't weigh on us, that we can break down the food easily and get energy out of it. The same with mindfulness. Mindfulness is amazing for people who have to face stressful situations, and stress is one of the main problem, I think, for people with MS, because having MS itself is stressful. You don't know what's going to happen, you might have to change your job, you might lose friends, many things are stressful, just having MS. But also, stress affects the body, affects the symptom. I notice it myself. If I'm stressed, then somehow, the sensations in my body are coming, or maybe, the spasms in my legs are getting stronger. So there is a direct link between stress and symptoms. So whatever works to reduce stress, I think, has to be integrated in this approach. And mindfulness, I find, is the best way to do that.
What would you really like to happen with Taming the Walrus?
What I would love is for people with MS to give it a try. Just try it. I'm not saying it's the solution. I'm not saying that I have found the cure for MS. I don't think I am cured. I have MS, I'm going to live with MS for the rest of my life. But with yoga, diet and mindfulness, I really believe that I can manage it. And I can make it worse if I can make MS worse. Just, I'll start getting stressed, I eat badly, I won't do yoga, and within 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be worse. I know it, I've done that. So if I can make myself worse by not doing it, it means that when I do it, I get better. And I'm convinced that people would also feel better if they tried it.